Okay, so the first question is, in what ways does your media product use, develop or challenge forms and conventions of real media products? And our short film uses real media products because it's a thriller, and most thrillers have a female protagonist who's usually conveyed as quite vulnerable and an easy target to the antagonist, and our short film does use this convention, and we felt this was quite important in order to make our product quite realistic. We also use the conventions of thriller films, as we included a point of view shot from the antagonist from inside the phone box, and this adds to the idea that the female protagonist is made to look vulnerable. We also conformed to real media products by using suspenseful music, and this adds to the tension that thriller films try to give to the audience. The film does stick to the 5-minute guideline, and we do have a state of equilibrium, and which reaches a climax, which is where the protagonist is being almost followed by the antagonist. And then we see the protagonist suffer from the antagonist's motifs and intentions, which causes the equilibrium to go back down to a disequilibrium because she quits her job. So yeah. Our short film develops conventions of real media products because usually in thrillers you don't really see much of the female protagonist's day-to-day life. You usually just see her emotional side of her being scared and vulnerable. But in our short film, we do actually see more background information of the female protagonist. So we see her day-to-day life, like what she does, her work, and her home. So yeah, that's how we see more of her.
Our topic also develops the forms of real media products because it builds on the social networking issues and the issues of talking to strangers online. We took this from our inspiration of Catfish, and we wanted to make it a bit different, and that's obviously why we used the post-it notes to convey this form as opposed to the internet. Our film challenges the forms of real media products because we use a female antagonist, and usually there is a male antagonist, the male stalking the female protagonist, and we felt that if we had two female antagonists, people would be set back and be more intrigued as to what the underlying messages and roles and why the antagonist is out to get the protagonist. We also use post-it notes as the form of communication because we felt this was completely different from anything we'd seen in Catfish. They meet on Facebook or they meet on Twitter, the social networking sites, and we wanted it to feel a bit closer to home. So we wanted the post-it notes to almost follow her. They follow her to her work, they follow her to the home and in the coffee shop, and I think we did this quite well. Also, it challenges forms of real media products because it uses underlying morals of workplace bullying and jealousy, which I think most women viewers would be able to relate to. This links to uses and gratifications theory, where some women will watch for the entertainment, just watching because they like the topic, they're interested in the topic, and some will use it for information, to seek advice and what they should do about it if they're placed in this similar situation. So I think it can be useful for all different types of people. Not only can it just relate to women, but it can also relate to men as well. Like I know men may undergo workplace bullying and the hierarchy, and you can seek advice from this film and obviously not follow the advice of maybe quitting, but knowing that there is jealousy in other workplaces and you're not the only one going through it.
Okay, so the second question is, how effective is the combination of your main product and your ancillary texts? And our main product and ancillary texts are effective in the way we sort of combine them together, is that the title sequence of our short film was partially in blue, like some of the text we used a blue colour scheme, and then we wanted this to be cohesive with the review, as we also used the blue colour scheme for our magazine film review. And we thought this was particularly effective because it will enable readers and audiences to sort of link our film and the review together. In our film review, we also broke the frame of the main image with the post-it note from the film. So we took this from one of our shots and sort of cut it out, and we thought this would help the audience to relate the review to our film, because again they would be able to, I don't know, link them together, and it's better marked. Is a better mark. Yeah.
The red poster. The red writing that we've used on the poster uses the conventions of a thriller. We originally wanted to be like cohesive with the review and the film by both using blue colour schemes, but after analysing, I analysed Shutter Island and you analysed
the others.
We found out that a red colour scheme seemed to be a lot more prominent within thriller posters. And in order to make our poster more marketable, we thought that it would be a lot easier to identify as a thriller if we used the red font instead and darkened the picture, so that this is kind of ties in with other thriller films, and so we decided to use that. We also used a shot from our film in the poster, so that it's immediately recognisable to viewers that they are made by the same production company. So we used a shot of the antagonist when they're getting in their kind of creepy stage to hopefully make it a bit more cohesive with the film, to tie in a bit better, and so people look at the poster or see the film and think, oh, I've seen that poster before, oh, I've seen the film before, and I know where it's from.
Third question is, what have you learnt from your audience feedback? And when we created our original rough cut, we received some feedback, and the main feedback we received is that the audience weren't really sure about what the antagonist's intentions were. So because we just included shots of the antagonist looking kind of menacing and sinister, but there wasn't really a clear understanding to the audience of why she was like that, why her behaviour was so strange. So we decided to give more of a backstory for when we refilmed and created our final cut. So we show the antagonist being fired from her job and then the protagonist replacing her, which gives her some intentions of why the antagonist wants to kind of follow and torment the protagonist. And this will also link to the ending of our film where the protagonist resigns, because obviously when the protagonist resigns, the antagonist will come back and replace her, and then this will kind of create a plot twist. And then when we created our final cut, so when we'd added all of our improvements, we found from our target audience that they did agree with our rating of our film as a 15, and we thought this was good because we thought the 15 rating would be relatable to 15-year-olds and obviously people older than 15 as well.
We found out that the music used was suitable. We used music by Cody Westheimer, which is copyright free, and it added to the tension of the film, which was good because we spent probably about half an hour trying to decide the music to use. We wanted it to be suitably like tension and it's like suspenseful, but we didn't want to use the same as last year, and we wanted to use one that built up as opposed to one that kind of gives it all away straight away. So that was really helpful. We also asked about our title sequence, as we used our inspiration from Attack the Block, and we were just unsure if like people would understand that this is the backstory being shown through the title sequence and through the separate clips. And we found out that they said the title sequence set the tone of the film well and was suitably menacing. They liked the breaking up of the clip as it gave the backstory to the antagonist, and it made the title sequence less boring, as I know that we can find a lot of the time in short films you spend 2 minutes on the title sequence, then you only have 3 minutes of film, and it can can drone on for a bit. So that was good. We also were asked about the 2 female characters, as that was something that we used to challenge stereotypes of films, and we weren't sure how people were going to react to it. So they felt both female characters was a clever twist and unexpected, although seeing as we tested it on our class, they're of age 17, 18, and so they possibly found it hard to relate to if they weren't the age to work full-time, whereas our teacher, who worked full-time, could relate to workplace jealousy and bullying a bit further, and the daily routines and struggles. So I think for that reason, different females are going to read it differently. You'll have a dominant reading and an intended reading. Some people will read it for exactly how the film is going. Some people will read it for partially, and then you have the hegemonic.
So the final question is, how did you use media technologies in the construction and research, planning and evaluation stages? So for our short film, we decided to use my own camera, which is a Samsung NX1000, to film and shoot our short film, and we also use this to shoot our location shots and shots of our costumes. And this camera is particularly good because it has auto and manual focus, so when you want to create different types of shots, like for close-ups, it's a lot easier to use manual focus because it quite often goes in and out of focus, and you don't really want that in your film because it looks quite unprofessional. And then it just depends what kind of shots you want, really, which makes it look better. We also used iMovie version 10.0.5 to edit our short film, and again to edit videos that we put on our blog. So we made videos with our location shots, and Izzy made a costume video at which we put a voiceover with. And to edit our short film, we used a steady feature, and we did this when there was some shots that were a little bit shaky, when the camera, when we had to do really close-up shots. Like there's shots of in the resignation letter, we did close-up shots of certain words, and they tended to be quite shaky, so the steady feature helped to just smooth them out, just to make them look more professional and make the words more readable to the audience. We also use a website called Prezi, which is kind of a bit like PowerPoint. It's just about making presentations, just to show your views and research. And what we did is we did this to show research in a different form, because it's quite up to date, and this means our blog is a lot more interactive to read and look at, and it allows us to be more creative, because what's different about it is you can click on different parts of, it's like all one image, and you can put text in different parts, and you can click to certain parts and it will zoom in, so it makes it a lot more interactive for the user of our blog. And we also used YouTube to submit and post our short films and our location shot videos and stuff like that to our viewers. And we also used it when we were in the research stage. So when we were researching about Foley sound, we inserted a video from YouTube on our blogs about that, just to give further insight into what Foley sound is. And we also took inspiration from Catfish, so we got a trailer of Catfish from YouTube, and we put that on our blog as well.
We also used the website PicMonkey, which is banners, like clip art, font, like colour. You can use a transparent background, which actually really helped to insert into our, and we specifically use this for our ancillary products to make it look more professional and just to have some more options for us. So for example, on our poster, the post-it note that breaks the frame, we got the little pin from that website, and it's just features like that which help make the film poster and the ancillary products look a lot more marketable. It helps it look a lot more professional, and like we've actually spent time kind of looking for fonts that are gonna be cohesive with the review and the other way around. We also used Logo Maker. This was to help us produce our production company logo. This helps with marketing our film and creating an identity for our production. This took us quite a long time because we were quite fussy over what colours we wanted. The blue obviously is cohesive with the title sequence and with our review. So helping create an identity for our production was quite a lengthy process, but by using Logo Maker it kind of really helped because there were so many different logos to pick from, so many different options, and so this really actually helped us. We also use Twitter and Facebook in order to market our films to viewers that may not see it otherwise. So, like, people that are not in our school, obviously because we go to an all-girls school, like guys, possibly relating to the whole female antagonist, female protagonist. And we got some really good feedback from those pages. It's really typical of low-budget short films to market their films on social media because obviously it's free and so many people use it nowadays. It helps really get our film out to the masses, and we found this as the accumulation of followers over time built up, and it really helped us when we used our technology.